Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this panel discussion. We are so excited to feature three amazing entrepreneurs who are here to share with you a little bit about how they've leveraged their entrepreneurial experience to help them maximize their professional and personal success. So as a reminder, this event is being hosted as a part of Penn State Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is led by the Penn State Small Business Development Center. This is just one event being hosted in a series throughout the week by not only our organization, but by many campus and community partners. So lots of great things going on. Be sure to check out the full schedule, and we hope to see you at another event soon. So my name is Elizabeth Fegert. I am with the Penn State Small Business Development Center.
I am Matt Stein with Penn State Career Services.
And we will be your moderators today during the discussion. As I mentioned, we have four great speakers. So we're going to go ahead and give a brief introduction of each of these speakers before we welcome them on screen.
Joel Seidel is a recent graduate of the Penn State College of IST. He is a full-stack developer and technical analyst committed to delivering value to clients via best-in-class solutions and by capitalizing on opportunities to leverage cutting-edge technologies to solve abstract problems. While a student at Penn State, Joel co-founded Maverick Software Systems, a health informatics and technology startup with a vision to improve clinical care quality through analytics and artificial intelligence. Maverick Software Systems was part of the 2019 Summer Founders Program and Invent Penn State, Launch Box, and Innovation Hub program. Welcome, Joel.
We always love seeing students go through the entrepreneurial programs here at Penn State University. Speaking of Penn State grads, we actually have a 2-for-1 deal today. We have sisters Corey, Dalia Verona, and Nicole Verona who are joining us. Both are proud Penn State alums. Corey has an MBA and an undergraduate degree in accounting, and Nicole has a bachelor's degree in business management with a concentration in marketing and a minor in Spanish. After Nicole committed to reviving her natural hair, she joined forces with her sister Corey to explore natural beauty products without sulfates, silicones, and parabens. With DN Organics, their small business, their mission is to help women take care of their health by using natural products made with clean beauty and make that accessible to everyone all over the world. Their brand is honestly clean and inspires others to be the best version of themselves with small but impactful changes in their lives.
And to round out our incredible panel, Waqas Mahmood is joining us. He's been in the innovation space for almost 2 decades, helping organizations architect their digital future. He believes in creating a culture of innovation that nurtures new technologies and media that promote powerful and engaging solutions. He has a strong background in tech startups, digital project management, human-centered design, and business transformation. Waqas brings a solid understanding of structured strategy consulting from his experiences in the digital advisory practices at Big Four accounting and other national professional services firms. Mr. Mahmood has an undergraduate degree in aerospace engineering from Ryerson University and a master's in general management from Harvard University. Welcome to all of our panelists.
All right, we're going to have our panelists join us here on screen. You've heard a little bit about all of them. Now I would like for our audience to meet all of these folks. So we'll be gearing them up here on the screen. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
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 Thank you so much for being with us here this week. We really appreciate your time as well as your willingness to give back to Penn State students as we share a little bit about how to leverage their experience in entrepreneurial success. They chat. So we've got a little bit of a technical feedback here on the screen, so we're going to go ahead and mute our speakers until we're chatting with each one of them. Thank you, speakers. If you're jumping in, maybe just give us a signal and we'll be sure to unmute you here so that you get a chance to chat. But I think we're going to start off today's panel by asking a question of sort of all of you. So obviously, you're all sort of entrepreneurs in various different ways. And oftentimes we find that the path to entrepreneurship varies person by person. So maybe if you could tell us a little bit about your path from college to your current profession. Let's start with Joel.
Sure. So my path to working with Accenture actually started with a job that I had concurrent to my entrepreneurial endeavors at Penn State. I worked with the Nittany AI Alliance. I got involved with them through the startup space and ended up working on a project with Accenture, with the city of Philadelphia, During really the beginning of COVID, we worked to build risk models to help the Philadelphia Public Transit Company to learn what the permanent teleworking risk would be moving forward. So it got me in the door at Accenture, all through that, kind of snowball effect of working in the entrepreneurial space, getting into artificial intelligence, being a part of the great resources at the Alliance, coming on with them, and getting in the door at Accenture, and now I work full time as a technical analyst for Accenture.
Excellent. Recent Penn State grad success story. Awesome. Let's chat with Corey and Nicole.
Hi. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for inviting us for to this panel. It's a pleasure to be here and to share the stage with such wonderful panelists. For me, I would say that the career path from college to our business didn't really happen right away. We went on into the financial industry right after college. And I would say that, I stayed in corporate, I'm still in corporate and full-time job and still run our business. And that just led us to, to learn the professional skills that you need to run a business. So I think that, the fact that that I have worked in a Fortune 500 for almost, for 10 years, 10 plus years, has helped us build our business in a way that, we can run it and scale it faster. Then, the passion and love that we started for hair was that extra step that took us to creating our own business. So, we find that when you do something with love and passion, you don't feel like you're working any, you wake up and you feel like, it's just another day to do something you love. So for us, it was beneficial and also like, great and a great part of, our business to do our career first and then jump into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and I would echo what Corey said. Again, thank you guys so much for having us. Yeah, it wasn't really a straight line to getting to where we are. It was a lot of challenges. And it was basically our personal life changes and experiences that led us to start the business. So I think we were solving a problem for ourselves. And then we thought, why not share that with others? So that led to, again, the passion and the creation to start a business from something that we knew we needed as curly girls ourselves. So we wanted to share that with our community. And I think that's what led us to starting the company. And we actually founded the company in 2018. And we just launched our products in 2021. So it's been a long road to get here. So we're really excited that we're finally live with our small business.
Excellent. And, part of the reason why we brought this group of speakers together is because they all came from, different paths to entrepreneurship, right? Joel was involved in entrepreneurship as a college student and is now working in industry. And both of you ladies went into sort of the corporate sector and you got that experience, but you're now running your own small business on the side. So two very different paths there. We'll turn things over to Wakas. Wakas, how about you?
Guys, glad to be here. Very interesting stories from three of you. And I think I may be a hybrid model of what you guys talked about. So personally started off from college. My undergrad, as mentioned, is in aerospace engineering. So I actually had an internship with Bombardier Aerospace. And what I realized quickly that even though I love engineering and technology stuff, I really crave for the client or customer interaction. So I love to learn more about how people buy things and why they choose to go for a product or a service. So after graduation, I ended up being at General Motors in the OnStar division to work on that OnStar product that they were developing. So this is dating me back about 20 years ago when the product was still net new, to learn more about, hey, what are the drivers going to ask OnStar to do? Is it just more than calling an ambulance or more than contacting their local service provider? Like, what are they looking for? And really building those customer journeys made me realize I really enjoy learning about consumers and what their habits are. So just quickly kind of going from there, I spent some years at BlackBerry or Research in Motion when things used to be, pretty good with them. But what I realized that, again, learning about how operations of an internal company works, being an internal consultant there, that there's so many pieces that sometimes are overseen and not paid attention to, especially around customer service and customer support models. To quickly going into my entrepreneur lifestyle, I guess that was a decision I made in grad school to start Smart Shift Labs. And the whole idea was to provide data analytics and data services to small and mid-sized businesses. Those businesses typically don't leverage data. They don't have a data science or data engineering teams. So what can we do to be their, extended team and come in as a turnkey operator for them to start leveraging customer data? So where do you sell your product? How often do you sell it? Which geography do you support today? And all those the key metrics that is really hard for them to grab from Google, ad clicks, or even internally running Excel sheets. So it kind of goes back to my keen interest in learning about customer behavior and then supporting small businesses with that landed me here.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear. I mean, oftentimes we find with entrepreneurs that, they pursued entrepreneurship through an idea and it sort of turned into something bigger and it becomes their life to the point where they are actually able to mentor and give back to other entrepreneurs. So it's awesome to see that you understand that perspective and you're able to give back to everyone else. So at this point, we're going to jump in and we're going to sort of talk a little bit about each of our speakers' experience. We're going to go through and chat with one person at a time. And then at the end, we'll bring everyone back together for some additional questions. And I want to let our online audiences know that if at any point throughout today's session you have a question for our speakers, please don't hesitate to drop that into the chat. So if you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, there is a chat function. Go ahead and drop those in, and we'll be sure to ask our panelists today.
So in discussing experience, Joel, I want to start with you, if that's okay. You had mentioned, as a Penn State student, a little bit of your entrepreneurship experience and your involvement in the Nittany AI Alliance here at Penn State. Can you speak to that more to our audience about how, as a student, there were some resources and opportunities on campus for you and how that really benefited you in pursuing that entrepreneurship experience?
Absolutely. So really all of the entrepreneurial experience that I've had came at Penn State. I'm not really going to count my lemonade stand in 2007. I couldn't get anybody to underwrite the IPO. So really, we all started in 2017 when we launched Maverick Software Systems. And I'm glad that we picked a generic name when you get down to it, because we did a lot of things. And each of those was influenced by a resource that we had at Penn State, by the guidance that we got through there, and making the best use of the great minds that we came in touch with. So it all started when I was a freshman. I was experiencing some significant financial hardship. I was looking for ways to get some money to pay tuition and be able to go downtown and enjoy State College as well every once in a while. And the way that I figured I was going to do this was by winning the SMEAL supply chain pitch contest. There was a $1,000 prize if you won. And I didn't know anything about supply chain, but I assembled a team of individuals I had known from high school and people I had met at the university. And we did well in the supply chain pitch contest. I wish I could say we won. We got second place, but I got the prize money that I desperately needed, was able to pay my tuition, come back for a sophomore year, which was definitely crucial to my education, naturally. But originally we were just going to be done with the project post-competition. We came and did exactly what we set out to do. But along with my co-founder, Devanshi Agnahatri, we started to think and talk to people about this. And we started to think, hey, this might be a good idea. Maybe we're onto something here. So we really spent a lot of time trying to talk to as many people as we could. As I said, my background is not in supply chain, still isn't to this day. But we tried to talk to as many experts as we could. We spent time trying to build a prototype, but we found that it was an industry with a high barrier of entry. We were looking to bring transparency to the medical device supply chain. There's a lot of players that are already there, and we quickly learned that might be prohibitive for us as a startup. So we participated in various Startup Week competitions through the College of IST, as well as through Invent Penn State. And eventually, we were selected to be part of the 2019 Summer Founders Program. And that's when things really started to get real for us. We spent that summer building, we spent that summer learning. And really what it came down to was we just needed to refine our scope. And the folks down at the Launch Box that we worked with every day provided us with absolutely invaluable guidance that eventually led to us deciding to pivot from the supply chain management to health informatics. Really what drove our entrepreneurial endeavor was not necessarily an idea specifically or a project specifically, but our desire to bring value to the medical industry. We wanted to help healthcare providers help their patients. So we took this into the health informatics space. We attended the World Health Informatics Conference in France in late 2019. It was great. We got to represent Penn State there. Then moving forward past that, I was selected as the recipient of the David Rusenko Entrepreneur in Residence Scholarship, which allowed me to spend a little less time working and a little working for other people and a little more time working on this entrepreneurial endeavor. And then, as I mentioned before, concurrently, I was working with the Nittany AI Alliance, making use of their resources through the Nittany AI Challenge to help boost our AI-related endeavor, and that eventually brought me to Accenture, and that's where I still am today with the entrepreneurial endeavors definitely still on the back burner.
Joel, thanks so much for sharing that. I think from a career advancement, career development standpoint, it's fascinating. One of the takeaways I just had from your story was how important it is to connect and network with individuals. You just never know where your career path is going to take you. And it's so powerful to be able to network and use the resources that are available to you. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and Joel, we're actually in the Happy Valley Launch Box powered by PNC right now. So they moved last week. They're in a brand new building. So for any students who are listening, who are tuning in, definitely check out the programs offered here by the Launch Box. The new location is at 123 South Burroughs Street in State College, PA. Great area to come co-work, brainstorm ideas, take advantage of some programs. Definitely check those out. All right, so let's transition. Let's talk to Corey and Nicole here. So you decided ultimately to become business owners. What prompted that idea for you?
Well, it was, like we said earlier, it was our life experiences and life changes for us that kind of led us to this path. For me, it was starting to embrace my curly hair back in 2017. We both grew up not really loving our curly hair due to our background. We grew up in the Dominican Republic, and there's a lot of perceptions of curly hair not being professional or beautiful, and that's like the mentality that we grew up with. And then when we moved to the U.S., we kind of discovered this whole new world of, kind of self-acceptance and more confidence in ourselves. So we discovered this whole world of clean beauty and curly hair, and we found that there was a lack of products that were honestly clean, and that's what led us to creating our own products. We actually started a blog with a friend, and that kind of introduced us to just sharing our experiences. And then from there, we kind of said we want to start our own brand and our own company, and that's what led to the creation of Being Organic. Like I said earlier, we started back in 2018, and we had a few challenges along the way. We still face challenges every day as a new company. And then 2020, obviously the pandemic put us back a year. We thought we were going to launch that year, but obviously we couldn't due to the pandemic. And then we finally were able to launch now in 2021. And I think it's been a really life-changing experience for us. Overall, we've been in business for about 7-8 months. So we just keep learning every day, and every day is a new day. And we both still have our full-time jobs, families, both moms, and so there's a lot of things going on in our lives. But Being Organic is a passion of ours. So we just wake up excited every day to continue to push towards our dream, which is building a company. Keep growing it.
Excellent, thank you. And Nicole, we're having a tiny bit of feedback on your microphone. So do me a favor and check the private chat. We'll see if we can go ahead and troubleshoot that. Corey, maybe can you speak to a little bit? So I know that you went through, both of you went through some of the Penn State programs as well. Could you share how you took advantage of Penn State resources?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we actually met with the team from the Berks Launch Box back before we even had a product, and we were part of we're one of their core working in the Penn State Berks Launch Box in Chicago Works in Reading, Pennsylvania. So they have been instrumental to us. They provided us so many resources. They partnered us with different mentors in the industry, so we were able to talk to people who were already 10 steps ahead of us. So that was definitely like something that we appreciated, being new and not really being from the beauty industry per se. So from there we also received a grant that helped us with the creation of the website. So that was another like huge help that we received from the team, and they just constantly link us up with different opportunities like grants or pitch competitions or anything that can really help us grow and scale our business. Like Nicole said, in 7 months we have been able to reach so many people, and really we went above and beyond what we expected. So I think the support that we received from Penn State has been definitely instrumental to us.
Awesome. And Corey, the programs that you took advantage of, it's interesting at the Berks Launch Box, those programs are actually available to community entrepreneurs, as they are at many of the other Launch Box and innovation hubs as well. Did you take advantage of those programs? I believe it was after you graduated as a student. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we started to work with the Berks Launch Box years after I graduated from Penn State. So it was back in 20. It was right before the pandemic, so that we started to work with the Berks Launch Box. So it was really like right before we did have a few in-person meetings, and then everything kind of became virtual. So, but from there, they still supported us virtually, and we were able to apply to different grants and do different things for our business.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing those resources. I know that, so oftentimes there's someone who has an idea for a business and they don't even know where to begin. It's such an overwhelming process for so many people. So it's always great to hear folks take advantage of programs like the launch boxes and innovation hubs that are available across the state at Penn State locations, as well as at working with small business development centers like the one we have here at Penn State. Great resource that can help folks, just take an idea or take a passion, right? Joel started with an industry. Sometimes it's seeing a need. Sometimes it's wanting to launch a product or a service. And we can also help take advantage or maximize your skills, right, and help you leverage those to be really successful.
Well, Kos, we're going to move on to you, and so you have an opportunity to share your experience with our audience here. And I love the diversity of the panel that we have industry represented here. And entrepreneurship can look different in different environments, and certainly it could be a one-off, an individual starting their own companies. It can be as a student, and it certainly could come out of the corporate environment as well. So, well, Kos, a question for you to kind of just stimulate our audience here and help explain some of the ins and outs is you've worked in corporate intrapreneurship. Can you explain what that means and how entrepreneurialism functions in a corporate environment?
Yeah, no, thank you. A great question. And what's interesting is if you were coming from a startup, which I was coming from a startup where you're doing end to end, from product conceptualization, business plan, how are you going to reach out to customers, and how you're actually going to sell your product either online or in store, etc. When you're then gone from that, what I say, no boundaries situation to a lot of red tape, sometimes it really hinders your innovation. So some of the things that helped me push through those barriers, I think number one was being in a culture that actually embraces failures. And a lot of the corporates, regardless if you're in North America or other parts of the world, focused on being risk averse. They're focused on keeping things very optimized from a cost and budget perspective. So you can't really make a lot of innovation mistakes and get away with it. That's not the model. So having an environment in a corporate setting where you can actually be a startup within the company really helped me grow and us as as an organization learn more about innovation. So really finding that the sweet spot where you are like running this little innovation hub, innovation lab, but under the umbrella of a large corporation gives you that little bit of safety net. I think the other thing that's important is really capturing small wins. Really scatter your path or your roadmap with a lot of small, low-hanging fruit kind of wins. So you're showing value to the organization who, or key stakeholders or leaders who are risk averse, who are, let's say, were not really your innovation champions from day one. So if you go back to them every 3 months and say, hey, because of this innovation lab, project or initiative, we were able to impact this much on the bottom line. We were able to sell more products. We were able to have more engaged customers. Whatever it is, really come up with those metrics and show them continuously that you're making progress.
Thanks for sharing that. What I heard was that there's this opportunity to fail, right? Even if you are in a large corporate environment and that corporate environment supports the culture of innovation, that there's that opportunity to fail. And just a quick follow-up to that. I mean, what did your peers and your colleagues that kind of weren't part of the entrepreneurship, how were you treated by them, and how did you navigate working with them and affecting that?
Yeah, good question. So the first thing is whoever shows up to support the idea of innovation, you show them the attention they deserve. You show them and share knowledge that you have with them without any bias, without any barriers. What happens is that person is taking a chance in innovation and trying to learn from you, trying to share their ideas and thoughts, and you want to show them your support and kind of reciprocate that. So really starting off with that support and buddy system helps start to create a base of innovation champions. And then what happens is eventually you get enough innovation champions that everybody else thinks, hey, this is a cool thing to be a part of. And then a lot of the barriers start to come down, and a lot of people then just come out their shells and actually say, well, I haven't shared this in the past, but I really think we should do this or that, and A and B and C's. So that really has helped me.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, well, Kas, it's interesting, when I sort of joined the entrepreneurial world just a few years ago. And so when I first heard this term intrapreneurship, right, this concept of entrepreneurialism within an organization, it was just such a cool concept to me. And I know as someone who works with students, I want to make sure that they're aware of those opportunities, right, that you can pursue entrepreneurship in so many different avenues. And so I think that your story is really cool. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Joel, let's chat. Since we're talking about college students, right, there's a lot of college students tuning in today who are, involved in entrepreneurial programs here at the university, and they ultimately want to pursue a career. Maybe it's in a startup environment or starting a business or working, in the corporate sphere. So can you tell me a little bit about sort of the job application and interview process for you, and how you talked about the experience, the entrepreneurial experience that you had gained here at Penn State University as you were sort of pitching yourself really as a candidate?
Sure. Yeah. And that really, I think, was a key part of the interview and application process for me. It's something that I really focused on. And I think the way that I approached it was to use this entrepreneurial experience to help to subsidize the technical experience that I have. And be able to talk to these employers and say, hey, not only am I able to, you can look at for a software developer or engineering student come out, you can list all of the programming languages that you can write in. But it's difficult to differentiate from another software developer who just graduated with an engineering degree that can do all the same things. So the way that I used this entrepreneurial experience was say, hey, I can work in all of these technologies. Not only that, but I've already talked, with clients. I've already figured out how to use these technologies to solve problems. I haven't just done book work, and I can prove it to you. Look, here's the work that I've done. Here's the entrepreneurial experience that I have. So especially going into consulting, one of the things that I think we prioritize when recruiting at Accenture now, which I've been a little bit of a part of, talking to college students, is we really want to have well-rounded individuals come in to be analysts. We want individuals that we can have work with clients to help to solution, and that have a good technical and business analysis background. So the entrepreneurial experience that I received at Penn State gave me that business analysis experience, gave me that background, as well as pushed me out of my comfort zone in a lot of the technical skills. And then that really flowed naturally into the interview process, where I was able to really have something tangible to show, and not just talk about abstract concepts or skills that I had, but really show the results that I was able to achieve with the skills that I did have through the entrepreneurial endeavors.
Excellent. And I love to see you representing your Nittany AI challenge shirt. Brad Zdenek was here hosting an event the other night. He'll be excited to see that. So Joel mentioned skills, and I want to talk about this concept of being an entrepreneur, because I think that it's a word that doesn't necessarily resonate with a lot of small business owners. So let's talk to our small business owners in the crowd. Corey and Nicole, I have a question for you. If you don't necessarily think of yourself as an entrepreneur, right, but you utilize entrepreneurial skills or the entrepreneurial mindset, right? That's this concept of thinking like an entrepreneur, of seeing a problem, of seeing an opportunity and really taking advantage of that. That's one way to pursue entrepreneurship, right? Even if you're not an entrepreneur yourself actively, you can still think with that mindset. So can you talk to us a little bit about the skills that have enabled you to be successful business owners, or maybe even just the skills you needed to start a business?
I mean, there's so many skills that you need to start a business. However, I think that what we felt that we needed the most was first understand that there was a need for our product. That there is a target out there, like a target market that wants and needs what we're offering. So so that was the main thing, and first identifying that person became like who is the person that we're trying to reach with our products. And the fact that we came from our problem that we were solving for ourselves, we were that customer that needed this product. So that was like the main thing that we wanted to make sure that we focus on and that we understood. So the main skill will be, did you identify the problem? Did you have a solution? Do you know who is out there for you and to buy your products? So that's a skill that you want to first kind of have it in your business plan and make sure that you evaluate. Another thing is that we both have worked in the corporate setting, so we had like the networking skills, also preparing presentations, doing forecasts, and then also dealing with like new vendors and things like that to build our product. There's so many logistics, there's so many people involved that you want to bring that the communication skills and the networking skills is fundamental for your business. Another thing that we wanted to make sure is education. We're both from the finance industries, so we wanted to understand the beauty industry and how products are formulated, since that's something that's so dear to our hearts. So so we went and actually got certified to formulate products, and we started doing them at home to understand how each ingredient was working and how we wanted the customer to experience it. So so that was another thing that when we had those conversations with the scientists and the manufacturers of our product, we felt confident that we understood the terminologies, that we understood how formulations worked, because we went back and we actually educated ourselves on how it worked. So like first, I would say the main things is find your problem, find your solution, identify your target market, and educate yourselves and have those communication skills to communicate with the vendors, the customers, and your networks.
Excellent. Yeah. To be a small business owner means wearing a lot of hats.
Yes.
So definitely good at getting experience at all aspects of running that business. What about you, Nicole? What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously everything that Corey said, and Just the flexibility to be able to, again, like you said, wear the multiple hats. We both have different backgrounds, and I think it has helped us that we are a team of two. Where we can delegate and both focus on specific areas. With my marketing and management background, I have focused more on the social media, the PR, communication for our company. And then Corey has focused more on the accounting and operations. So I think that has helped us a lot. And also finding a team that can help you, even if it's freelancers or family members, just making sure that you can have a team that can support your business so that you can keep growing. And that's something that we have learned along the way. We hope to be able to one day hire another full-time person to join our business. But obviously that's going to come with time and more resources. But I think it's just investing in yourself and keep going with, learning new things that you need to keep the brand going and growing.
Yeah, absolutely. That support system and a team of people who can help you grow is essential. Even going back to what Matt said at the very beginning, building that network with folks you interact with now, because they can be huge champions for a small business later.
Well, in addition, I appreciate you all sharing those skills. In career service, oftentimes we get to hear from employers firsthand what they're looking for in employers. And it's not just the technical skills. It's those employability skills, those soft skills of communication, of problem solving, of critical thinking, leadership. And you've all mentioned how important those are to be successful entrepreneurs and how you can market yourselves to be more successful. So really appreciate you reinforcing those. Oftentimes we hear from individuals as well about the risk associated with going out there and creating a company or taking that leap, if you will, to the entrepreneurship space. So Kas, a question for you, from your perspective, you've leveraged your corporate experience to launch your own business. What made you decide to take that leap?
Yeah, good question. So I think what really, I felt like there was a gap. There was a gap that I felt that my 9 to 5 had around fulfilling my passions. And kind of adding some color and context to that, it's you show up and you have a specific project you're working on, or if it's an operational job, it's like, you're processing accounts payable or receivable, things like that. It becomes mundane, and it becomes very repetitive to a point where you're not even learning anything new. I've seen this happen before. Okay, so this is how we handle that. So I think the lack of innovation in doing my day-to-day job really triggered the thought of like, why don't I do something on my own? Why don't I, build a solution that I see is needed out there, or provide a service that's needed out there. So my journey kind of started when I was at Harvard, finishing my grad school, and a section mate of mine, felt the same way. And just out of that conversation came the idea of Smart Shift Labs. And it was like, well, the small and mid-sized business market is very underserved. In this case, it was data services. So what can we do to provide that? And what really it did, it filled that gap of like, when I was going to work, it was nothing to do with innovation. It was already predefined set of processes and procedures I have to follow. But in being in Smart Shift Labs, we can actually experiment, prototype everything rapidly every day and see if this is going to work, or if that's going to work, or if this is making sense. So I think the fulfillment came from lack of red tape and more of prototype and see where it's going to go.
And the common theme, again, that I've heard from all four of you is, to overcome that risk, sometimes take that leap with your passion. And I believe it was Nicole and Corey that indicated, if you take your passion and you turn that into something that you really enjoy, and it's an opportunity to expand, you will really never work, right? You're doing what you love to do. And so I really love the fact that there's different catalysts that we can overcome to take that leap and be successful. So we have some questions for all of you that we'd like to take in about best practices and advice, right? Our audience is out there. Maybe they're considering, coming down, using some of the resources here at Penn State that we've mentioned today, and they're trying to figure out how they can personally overcome that risk and take that leap. So, just to give them some more encouragement here, we'll start with you, Joel. What has been the most satisfying professional moment for you?
Oh, that is a great question. Well, I have only been in my career for 6 months, so I will I'll put that as a point of reference. But I think the most satisfying thing that I've experienced so far has been was a couple days after I started on the project that I'm working on at Accenture, and I produced value, for the first time, accomplished a task. It seems like such a small thing, but to really get over that, imposter syndrome, accomplish a task, write a piece of code that went into a production, environment that is now being used by our client. I really had this moment of, this is what I've been working for. This is what everything has been for. This is what all those late nights working on the startup stuff has been for. This has been what all the stressful pitch competitions, public speaking engagements, stuff like that. It's what it's all been for. And to be able to see my name on the source control and be able to demonstrate a feature that I built on there, it thus far has been by far the most satisfying thing. It was just a culmination into a seemingly small thing, but I think my true passion in the industry and in life is just to solve problems and deliver value. And being able to do that, kind of in the big leagues for the first time, was a feeling unlike no other up to that point professionally.
Thanks for sharing, Joel. Certainly adding value is so important intrinsically to us as humans. How about you, Corey and Nicole? What has been your most satisfying professional moment?
Well, Star and Joel, in 6 months, making that milestone is huge. So congratulations to you. That's something that is amazing, and you should be so proud of. I would say the same thing. We have been in business for completely 7 months, and just waking up and knowing that we're making a difference. That we receive a message or an email, or someone, our customers send us pictures of how much they love their hair and how they're embracing something that maybe in the past they hated and they struggled with. It's just so satisfying. So I think that, we had a lot of obstacles. Like Nicole said, we founded the company in 2018. We had that mentality of fail. If we're going to fail fast and just try it, test it first, and then get up and do it better. So, I think that, if you don't forget about the doubts and the fears, because if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it with, being fearful, but still do it and feel confident that your end goal is your mission, and your vision is what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and that fear, it's nice to hear you say, right, that if you can just embrace the fear, right, yeah, accept it and go for it, that there is a lot of reward on the other side. Because I think that for a lot of folks who are considering starting a business or who are considering pursuing entrepreneurship, it's that risk that is the thing that holds them back. So you're a great example of it can work out, right? And if it doesn't work out the first time, you just keep trying. And that's just part of the game.
Yeah, and I would add the same thing. It's just reading the reviews from our customers and seeing the pictures that make us, feel really, really excited to see that our products are being used by others and they love them. I think another thing that was really a big milestone for us was just seeing the product in a bottle. Like we said, it took us like 3 years to get here, and after all the hard work with the formulas and testing it ourselves, we tested everything on our own hair and our family. And so seeing it as a finished product in a bottle and being able to ship it out in a box to the first pre-orders that we mailed out, that was a very exciting moment for us. We actually launched March of this year, which was Women's History Month. So for us to be able to do that in such a special month was really, really exciting for us, and it's something that we won't forget, just as being able to, do all that and finally see it in person.
Yes, we need more women in entrepreneurship. So I'm super excited to hear you say that. And what a great month to launch. And Corey, speaking of products, I love the product placement in the background. That's an awesome approach as a small business owner. Show it off, right? That's your baby. So it's great to see that front and center.
Yeah, this theme of resilience is really coming out with everyone. So I hope our audience that resonates with you as well. Well, Kos, how about you? What's been your most satisfying professional moment?
Yeah, I know. Great stories from everybody so far. I think my biggest memory is going to be more broad than one specific project or initiative. It's converting skeptics to your biggest supporters. So those skeptics can be, if you're in a corporate environment, your boss, your boss's boss, or senior leadership. In an entrepreneurial sort of small business space is going to be customers who are like, yeah, we tried your product, or we're not interested. It looks similar to this other product that's on the market. So they're skeptic about that, right? So converting them to make it like, okay, this guy and gal is actually going to go on Google and write a review about my product. This is how much they like it. Is to me is a big win, and you should definitely celebrate that. It doesn't come easy. It's definitely a hard one to do, but it takes resilience to the points that you guys are making. Resilience. Not worry about being failure, and also if you truly believe that your product is gonna kick butt, then it's gonna kick butt because you're just gonna pour your heart and soul into it. So just to
And speaking of, like you said, it's not always going to be easy to start your own business, to launch your product. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you sort of bounce back from those professional setbacks when you do experience a challenge? Like, when you did face customers who weren't in love with your product, like how do you find the motivation and the confidence to keep going?
Yeah, I'll go. So I think the first thing is that if you always felt that, strong support and vision in your own self about that product or service, you're gonna bounce back, on a personal level. What you can do from a business standpoint is can be very calculated when you run these campaigns. Let's say you're running a campaign to put your products in Costco for a weekend, right? Maybe you walk away with just paying money to Costco and not making a dime, right? And that is enough calculated risk for you to say, okay, well, now if Costco at this location didn't work, maybe I can go to another location, and so on and so forth. So I think really creating that business model where you calculate based on projection of how much you're going to spend and what will be the return on your investment will for sure play a big role in making you feel comfortable that at least I have a plan. So doing a financial modeling or projection calculation helps. Two is actually try something new. So if you think traditionally people go to a salon to buy your product, then maybe go to a place where they do nails or acupuncture or something like that, right? I mean, to kind of play around with the venue to create a different perspective.
Yeah, great advice. How about you, Corey and Nicole?
I think that besides just not just hearing like maybe like a comment from a customer that might didn't like the product or something like that, or just the comparison syndrome that you're comparing your brand with another company who might be 5 years ahead of you, and then you feel like you're not doing enough. I think that everybody's journey is different, and you need to embrace and accept that your product might not be for everybody, but that niche in that group is there for you, and the people that are going to support you are always going to support you. So we have been blessed that we most of the 98% of the customers who try our products love it, and we had feedbacks where like they said, well, it didn't really work, but that's okay. We asked them, hey, so why didn't it work? Did you use it this way? So you create that, you use that feedback to improve. You never take it as a negative view. You want to just be better and become the best that you can become. So I think that hearing those things are actually good, and hearing them early are even better, because then you know what to do when you're improving and scaling your business to a different level.
That's such a great perspective to have, because I think that so often people are hesitant to ask for feedback because they fear the negative feedback, but they don't understand that it can be such a valuable learning opportunity. And, you know, we all have pride, right? We're all proud of our work and our products. So that can sting for a little bit, a minute there. But ultimately, if you use that feedback to help you improve, that's how you become really successful. All right, Joel, how about you? How do you face those tough moments if you get some criticism or some professional feedback that's not so hot?
Sure. I think just viewing them. I mean, nobody likes to hear that they did a bad job or something didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. But I think just being able to separate the emotional aspect of that from being able to view those as a learning experience is so key. And even when it comes to criticism or something happens that it ends up that a product is a failure or something like that, every failure I've ever experienced in entrepreneurship and in industry now as well has really allowed me to bounce back and do something better the second time. When one of our products or ideas would fail, I always had a backup. I always had a backup plan of some sort. And the second time we did something after we made a pivot, it always was easier than the first time. And we were always able to use that criticism as a learning experience to keep pushing forward and keep refining. The one thing that I think we really learned, both myself and my co-founders, we went through the Summer Founders Program, was that we didn't know everything, right? And I think we always knew that, but being so invested in the space that we were, I think every once in a while we thought we had it all figured out, right? But we would get this criticism or we would get a suggestion from one of the great advisors that we worked with, and it would unravel something, and we would have things to figure out. But each one of those we'll figure it out moments always led to our business, our ideas to become better, to be able to have the potential to provide so much more value. And even now, I look back at some of those moments where I was a little frustrated by them at the time and the criticism, but I still think back to some of the things I learned now, and it's been 3 years since we went through that program. But those learning opportunities are invaluable, even if you might not like them at the time that you hear them.
Absolutely. Well, you've all given such great advice to our audiences, who we know are made up of small business owners, of students who have maybe been involved in entrepreneurial programs here at the university, of folks who are considering changing jobs, maybe going from the corporate sphere to starting their own business. I think everyone's learned so much from all of you today. I do want to give our audience the opportunity to ask any specific questions that they might have of you. So we have a live in-person audience here today. Does anyone have any questions for this amazing group? Yeah, we've got one right here.
I think, first of all, like you said, it's great listening to everyone. I'm a student myself, full-time student, looking for job search, looking for full-time jobs while having my own startup on the side. And it's definitely, one of those times when I'm thinking a lot about where I'm going. So it was really helpful just hearing how I can take some of the skills and market myself. But how would you, I think my question would be, what's one advice, you would give to someone in this sort of a moment on how to gain some clarity on where I'm at right now?
I'll go first. Just one thing right away. Great question, and I'm so glad to see that you're thinking about that at this stage of your early of your career. I start to build your own brand, is how I put it. There doesn't matter what service or product or company you end up being at, or venturing off. Build your own brand. What is it about you that's unique and that's different? Really celebrate that. Really show that off. It could be just your speaking skills or your thought leadership and how you maybe within your friends circle, how you help them with certain projects or assignments. Those things are key important skills that you need to kind of start to shape into a brand, if that makes sense.
Great advice. Anyone else want to chime in?
I think that, yeah, just to add to that, I think that's great, building your own brand and going out and making sure that you're always keeping pace with everything that's going on in the world, like learning new skills and going out and expanding your knowledge. But I would also add, just build your network. That always helps as well. Whoever you meet along the way, make sure you're connecting with them. You never know who might be able to help you down the line with, finding a job, or if you're starting a new business. So I think working on your network would be another piece of advice to keep connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nicole, I love hearing you about that lifelong passion for learning. And we talked a little bit earlier about this concept of entrepreneurship is not something that a lot of people embrace. I would encourage those in the audience today, if you are the type of person who is always seeking to learn more, who is striving to improve, to find a solution, you have the entrepreneurial mindset. And I think you have an opportunity to do something great in the world with it. So we hope that you'll explore not only the programs here at Penn State, but all sorts of opportunities for entrepreneurship. We are running out of time here, so I do want to be mindful of all of your times. You all have very, very busy jobs, but I cannot thank you enough for all of your advice, for all of your insights. This has been a truly valuable panel, and we were so lucky to have connected with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so as we wrap up here, I just want to share a few of the other things that are going on this week. This is, again, Global Entrepreneurship Week, Penn State. I think we've got a slide here that's going to showcase a QR code that will help us get to a little bit of feedback from all of you. So if you're in the room today, we'd love for you to scan this QR code. If you're in our virtual audience, please do the same. Your feedback would be invaluable to us as we plan future programs. We want to hear the tough feedback, right? If something wasn't great, let us know. We'd love to improve. We'd certainly love your advice for next year's programming. I want to thank my former colleague, Matt Stein from Penn State Career Services, for joining me for this event today.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the opportunity to be here. Don't forget, with all the small business development center resources on campus and in the community, Career Services is here for you all along the path of your career development.
Excellent. Thank you. A couple of other events that are coming up today. So this afternoon we have 2 more panel discussions. At 2 o'clock, we're partnering with Penn State Global to host Entrepreneurship, Local to Global, where you will hear from some great faculty members from Penn State University as well as Lehigh University who will speak to entrepreneurial programming on a global context. And then later this evening at 7 o'clock, we're hosting a panel of marketing and influencer and corporate professionals who are going to speak to how you as an entrepreneur or a small business owner or a student can make your mark by maximizing the impact of your brand. So that's going to be another really engaging panel. We hope that you'll check those out in addition to any of the other events that are going on this week during Global Entrepreneurship Week itself or throughout the month of November. We've got loads and loads of campus and community partners who are hosting great programming in a virtual and in a hybrid component or format, so that we hope that you'll check that out. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you at another GEW event soon. Bye-bye.